Hi, welcome back to Baking with Love. I'm Carolyn Stella, aka Stella, coming to you in the new year and in the new improved PEG TV kitchen studio. And today I'd like to share with you my recipe for what I'm calling peanut butter squared cake. You might remember our last January episode, our triple layer chocolate cake with bittersweet chocolate frosting. Well, that was my birthday cake last year. So this year I'm going with a peanut butter cake with peanut butter frosting. And now with both recipes, you can mix and match. For all you people that like chocolate with your peanut butter or people that like peanut butter with your chocolate, you can find the recipes on the PEG TV website, or you can just make it peanut butter like I'm going to show you today. But before we talk about peanut butter, let's talk a little bit about peanuts. Can you guess the #1 peanut growing state? This state has been on our top 10 chart a lot lately. It's Georgia. Georgia produces over 50% of all the peanuts in the US, followed by Alabama and Florida, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Arkansas, what else? Virginia. Virginia peanuts are the large ones that you might get at a ballpark. Mississippi and Oklahoma. Now, peanuts take between 130 to 160 days to grow. That's why we're not growing peanuts in our climate in Vermont. And that's why the map of the peanut growing states looks like this. And you can see all these states are down south. The darker colors are the states that produce more peanuts. Mississippi and Louisiana do produce peanuts, but they just didn't get colored in on this map because the numbers that they produce. So that's a little bit about peanuts and where they grow and where we get them from. Let's get to our recipe and I'll give you more fun peanut facts as we bake. So we're going to start with sifting 1½ cups of all-purpose flour with, I'll get that in our sifter, with 2 teaspoons of baking powder. This is a tablespoon, but I assure you there's 2 teaspoons of baking powder in there, ½ a teaspoon of salt, and ½ a teaspoon of baking soda. So we're going to give these a sift, and I can tell you, oh, and don't forget, heaping cup of love. We'll give that a little sift as well. I'm going to leave it out because we might use it again with our other ingredients. So in the US, we've had 2 peanut farming presidents. Can you guess who? Most people guess Jimmy Carter. He's been in the news lately with his health and also the passing of First Lady Rosalind Carter. He was a Georgia peanut farmer, but the other one is before our time. So do you need some hints? He was a Virginia peanut farmer. Guesses? How about he was 3rd president of the United States? You have to remember who that is. And if you still need another guess, he was the author of the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson was our first peanut growing president, and then Jimmy Carter was our second. That's all we've had so far. So I am sifting those ingredients, those dry ingredients together, all-purpose flour, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And then we're going to work on our moist ingredients. All right, this is almost done. Just a couple of lumps I'm trying to break up. This is my sifter. Oh, also, before you got here, I preheated our oven to 350 degrees. That's good. And I cut a circle of parchment to fit the bottom of our springform pan. This is the first time we're using a springform pan on Baking with Love. You might know this pan from cheesecakes. So they're really easy to get your cake out. You just got to make sure the bottom's in properly, that it's seated. And that way it won't leak batter. So that's our prepared pan, and the parchment's already cut. And the oven's preheated to 350. If you choose, or if you don't have a springform pan, or if you choose to make this recipe in a 9×13, you can make this cake as a sheet cake. It won't have layers. I'll show you how we'll get to the layers as we bake. But you can half the frosting recipe and make a rectangular sheet cake, 1 layer. So that's our pan. We'll put that over here. And now we'll get to our other ingredients. So right here we have 1 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. You know I use a lot of dark brown sugar, but today I'm using the light brown sugar. 1/3 of a cup of smooth or creamy natural peanut butter. So we'll talk a little bit about peanut butter. The natural peanut butter only has peanuts and in this case a little bit of salt, and that's what you want to use. If you use the other type of peanut butter, you can cut down on the sugar because those peanut butters already have sugar added, and they also have stabilizers and other ingredients. This peanut butter is a little looser, and that's sometimes why people don't like the natural peanut butter because it tends to separate. But one trick is you can store, I don't have the lid on so I can't flip it, but you can store the natural peanut butter upside down and then give it a stir, and that way the oil won't be all at the top. It's not good to pour off the oil because then the bottom of the container ends up kind of dry and crumbly by the time you get to it. The reason I left this out was because one statistic shows that the #1 way that people in America like to eat peanut butter is right out of the jar with a spoon. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are right up there too. And the average American eats about 3 pounds of peanut butter a year. So I'm a little under that average, but I know a lot of people that are over. All right, so we've got our natural peanut butter and 1 cup of light brown sugar. We're gonna cream that together. And then we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil. You could also use coconut oil. And that's instead of butter. It's full. And we're going to keep on mixing this up. Some other peanut butter statistics. I think it takes 580 peanuts to make a 12-ounce jar of peanut butter. And that statistic of 3 pounds per person per year in the US, I don't know how they figured this out, but supposedly that's enough to coat the bottom of the Grand Canyon in peanut butter. All right, so to this now we're going to add 2 large eggs at room temperature. I add some larger, I usually have my ramekins, I have some larger glasses for the eggs. It's a super easy cake, and everybody that loves peanut butter really enjoys it. So there's my eggs. And then we are going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract here. And it just right now looks like creamy peanut butter. And now we're going to add alternately our sifted dry ingredients and 1 cup of buttermilk at room temperature. And I'll do this in a few different increments. I'll add some, probably about 3 additions. I'll add some flour, I'll add some buttermilk, I'll add some flour, I'll add some buttermilk. So talking a little bit about peanuts again, peanuts are actually not nuts. They're sometimes called ground nuts. They're sometimes called goobers, which supposedly came from a Congolese word, nguba, N-G-U-B-A, sounds like goober. So a goober, you can also, we always like language on this show also, besides baking with love. So if you call someone a goober, it usually means they're acting silly, and it's usually meant as a nice thing. Like it's not negative to call someone a goober, kind of like a knucklehead. There's a lot of sayings about peanuts. Did you ever hear, like, that's enough from the peanut gallery? The peanut gallery in the 1800s was the topmost or backmost seats of a balcony in a theater, and I guess those people might have been a little rowdy, so they'd say, that's enough from the peanut gallery. I think that's what we would probably call nosebleed seats today. All right, here's the last little bit of our dry ingredients, and here's the last bit of our buttermilk. And we had buttermilk in our chocolate cake also. Buttermilk makes a cake have a nice tender crumb, and it should be nice and moist. So I'm going to just scrape down this bowl. And another saying about peanuts is working for peanuts. You may have heard. If you're working for peanuts, that means you're not getting paid very much. I'm working for peanuts right now. All right, so we're going to, that's it. This looks good. I'm just going to get a little of the peanut butter off the bottom with my scraper. make sure I got everything. Yep, that's it. So we've got our batter. Stick that in there. I'm gonna give these a little rinse because we're gonna use them for our frosting. And then we're going to pour this into our prepared pan and let it bake at 350 on a center rack for about 40 to 45 minutes, and then until the proverbial toothpick comes out clean, and then we'll have to let it cool. So back to our prepared pan. And what else can I tell you about peanuts? Oh, I have a great trick for pet owners. We have a dog that we have to give medicine to on a regular basis. So I bake medium shells, pasta. I'll bake a bunch and put them in the fridge. And then when it's time to give him a pill, we stick the pill in the cooked shell, put a little natural peanut butter on top, and he eats it down just like a treat. They are so much cheaper than the store-bought pill pockets that they sell at the pet food stores. So if you have to give your dog a pill, that's a really great peanut butter tip. And I think I got that from Hints from Heloise back in the day. So I want to give Heloise some credit. All right, so that is, just give it a little jiggle. That is all ready to go in our preheated oven, center rack. And I usually do give things a spin, but I'm just gonna let this stay in the middle and just check it getting close to the end. All right, so give this a little wipe and we'll get ready for our frosting. And again, if you're not a big frosting lover, the frosting is sweet. Maybe you make the sheet cake, or maybe you just ice this cake on the top and the sides and you don't do the layer. I can even move our nuts. Oh, so anyway, these are legumes, not nuts, and they grow underground, and these are actually pods. So they are closer to beans and peas, like snow peas. All right, so we've got more peanut butter, more and more peanut butter. We've got 1 stick of softened butter. It's soft, but it's stuck. And 1 cup of our creamy natural peanut butter. And we're going to blend these together. And then we have 3 cups of confectionery or powdered sugar. Now again, you can cut down on the sugar to taste. You can also cut down on the sugar if you're using the other type of peanut butter, because as we said, it already has sugar in it. I'm gonna put my beaters back in. And then we have a half a cup of buttermilk at room temperature. And that is going to go in up to a half a cup. So you might use less. You want to have your frosting to be a nice, smooth, and spreadable consistency. It's a peanut butter buttercream. And like I said, this would also go great on the chocolate cake that we made last January for my birthday. And it would also go, it also goes great on vanilla cupcakes too, or something like that. Anything you want to put a little peanut butter flavor into. All right, so I'm going to add all the sugar and then start adding in the buttermilk. It's our love bowl, so we're putting love in the frosting. You can even do a sprinkling of our cup of love. And we definitely have love in the cake. All right, so here comes, I also have the buttermilk out in case I need a little bit more. But again, you want a creamy, spreadable frosting. Now you won't frost your cake until it's completely cool. And you know, on Baking with Love, we have a time machine. So as soon as this is ready, we'll go into our Peg TV time machine, and like magic, our cake will be baked 40 minutes or more, and it will be ready for this peanut butter buttercream frosting. I actually might need a few more drops of buttermilk to get it to the consistency that I like. So that was a half a cup, and really it's pretty close. You don't want to overdo it, but if you do ever overdo it, you know, you can add a little bit more confectionery sugar. And this is a generous amount of frosting for this size cake. Give it a little more power. A little stiff still to my liking. Just another tablespoon or so. All right, that looks nice. And this cake is pretty monochromatic with the peanut butter cake and the peanut butter frosting, so we can dress it up a little bit. And I have a few ideas that I'll share with you, and you can take your pick. You can do some, all, none. Get these things out of the way, and then we'll go into the time machine that I mentioned. Get our cooling rack, because we are supposedly taking it out and letting it cool all the way before icing it. All right, so out of the oven, 40 minutes later, our springform pan, very nice. You unlatch, you lift up. You might have to run a butter knife or something like that around the edge. I had my butter knife here for that, demonstrate. Now, you might notice lines on this cake because after it gets taken out, you can flip it to cool it the rest of the way, remove the bottom of the springform pan, and remove the parchment layer. And then let's get our serving platter, and I'm gonna flip it onto the serving platter like so. This one's nice because it has circles, so I could kind of see where the center is. And we're going to make sure this is stable. And we're going to make our layer cake now. So I'm going to try my best to cut this right across the center, 2 even layers with this nice big knife. I'm just kind of sawing it, going around. This is nice that my platter slides evenly on this nice granite countertop or quartz. I'm almost there, I think. And hopefully I'll hit my other line. There, I did. Okay, now, sometimes I flip it like this to get it off. No, I think I'm going to try my hands. Got it. All right. Sometimes the center is a little moist, and that's okay. It's nice and gooey. All right, so now you've got called a spreader or an offset spatula. You can start your frosting. You want a nice, like I said, this is a generous amount of frosting, so you want a nice amount in the center. And that way when you slice it, you'll see kind of an even, level amount of frosting. Oh, what can I tell you? There's studies about who likes, personality traits of who likes creamy peanut butter and who likes crunchy or chunky peanut butter. I found this very interesting because when I was little, you know, my mom bought the peanut butter. I didn't know there was other kind of peanut butter, and I thought it was creamy all the way. And more people that live on the East Coast eat creamy peanut butter. Then I moved to California, and it turns out more people on the West Coast eat crunchy peanut butter. So I was introduced to crunchy, and I really liked it. So when I started reading these personality traits, I said, I must be a crunchy person, because listen to this. Crunchy people tend to be more extroverted, creamy people more introverted. Crunchy people are more likely to have run a marathon and skydived, so things that I've done. Crunchy people are, more men though are supposedly into crunchy, more women and children into smooth. Smooth people more introverted and more likely to cancel plans last minute. I don't know about that, but again, these are just fun facts that I find to share with you. So again, you could do this on a Lazy Susan if you have one. This one, like I said, my platter is spinning very nicely. If you get a little Frosting on your platter, you can always give it a wipe at the end. Some people put parchment down. All right, so bottom layer, middle and sides frosted. We'll transfer our top layer back on the cake and continue with our frosting. I got a little on my fingers. That's okay. I should have licked it off. It's so good. And what other fun peanut facts did I find out? Oh, peanut butter was started, well, they believe, with the Incas and the Aztecs. They found information that led them to believe that the Incas and the Aztecs were the first civilizations to grind up and create peanut paste. Mr. Kellogg of Kellogg cereal fame patented a peanut butter making machine back, I think, in the 1800s, might have been the early 1900s. There's also a Canadian fellow that was instrumental in peanut butter, creation of peanut butter, as an easy commodity. And you can make your own peanut butter, especially if you're making natural, just peanuts and a little bit of salt. And, oh, I thought of something else just a second ago when I was talking about, what was it? The production of peanuts in different, oh, last month we talked about the Manitou Springs Fruitcake Throwing Festival, and the farthest fruitcake ever thrown was 180 feet, and the farthest peanut ever thrown was 124 feet. So I didn't know peanut throwing was a thing, but apparently there is a world record for that. And oh, very, very important information. If you don't have a birthday in January, like I do, you can celebrate National Peanut Butter Day on January 24th. So you don't need to have a January birthday for this cake. If you're a peanut butter lover, or if you know or love a peanut butter lover, this would be a great way to celebrate National Peanut Butter Day. All right, so we're on the home stretch on our frosting, and now we can talk about decorating. So again, if you want to go with the monochromatic light peanut color, you've got your cake all done. If you want to dress it up a little bit, I made a little paste. Let's see if it's, you could drizzle, it's a little thick. Let's see if I microwave it for a few seconds, if I can get it to be drizzly. This is just semi-sweet chocolate morsels melted at 50% power, so always slow so that you don't scorch the chocolate. If it doesn't drizzle, I've got a couple other tricks for our decorating. And if you'd like, I chopped up some Reese's peanut butter cups, mini peanut butter cups, and you could decorate the edge with candy. You can do a drizzle. You could just leave it plain and write happy birthday. That should work. I'll give it a little drizzle and see. You could go side to side with your chocolate. You could go in a circle. There, we're getting the drizzle effect. You can make a crisscross. I didn't want to make it too heavy, so I was being careful not to over drizzle. There we go. And now I'll put again, you can wipe your edges of your platter down. And now I'll put the Reese's peanut butter cups alongside. And if you wanted to, you can even take the mini chocolate chips and touch them to the edges. And here's the little peanut butter cups all chopped up. And then of course we have some candles. And on Baking with Love, we have little heart candles. So we'll stick those in the middle, and you can sing happy birthday, and I'll be able to hear you virtually as you do that for my January birthday. I actually celebrate all month. I have so many friends that are so nice that want to get together that it ends up being my birthday month celebration. I start on the 1st and I just go right through to the 30th, 31st, and sometimes there's even a couple stragglers that I don't get to see till February. So the holiday season continues right through January for me. Let's see. That looks good. And again, you can chop this smaller or bigger. You could use other candies that you like. You could use the hard peanut butter candy and or some other treat. If you want to add some color, those candies are usually orange and brown. And I won't do these on the side, but you could just lightly press in on the side. And then let's find, we've got our birthday. I need my candles. I was just fooling around with my candles before the show, and now I don't know where I put them. But we really need the, oh, here they are. We've got 2 red and a gold one for a wish. And that's how we do it on Baking with Love. So now let's slice our cake, and you can see how it looks. And again, there's different ways to slice. Some people like kind of rectangles, some people kind of like triangles. This is a nice big triangle. First piece is sometimes a little tricky. Ah, perfection. Peanut butter perfection. So there you have it. I'm going to put the candle on my slice because I'm the birthday girl, and say, thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time on Baking with Love.